This town has become a jungle, where not even the rats are safe. Those who swore to protect us fight to steal the last scraps of dignity we have left. And those who should judge them prefer to squabble over their prey. But it wasn't always like this. The Santa Esperanza I was born in was a clean town. A place where it meant something to be a cop. Until he arrived. He took everything I had, but in the end I sent him to hell. Rebuilt my life, got my feet back on the ground. But now he's back, and he's dragged me in. I'm gonna need help. Ness.
Elliot, I found Carlo Boccarini.
I knew you would, Alice.
Write this down. 31 Wicker Avenue in Lakeview.
Thanks. Nice work.
Elliot, what do you want with him? He's got a hell of a file.
I think he's mixed up in a kidnapping, but my client doesn't want the police involved.
What are you getting yourself into? Who's your client?
Alice, I don't have much time. I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks. Tomorrow's going to be a long, long day. "31 Wicker Avenue. This is it."
You sure?
I'm sure.
At last. That stench of stale grease about you reminds me too much of my old job.
You worked as a waiter?
I was a chef, and not in any old kitchen. At the maximum security penitentiary on Gore Island. Can't think of a better way to do time. And how do you think I met Alphonse? Playing golf?
Alphonse?
On the subject of cooking, I know your blueberry pie had an extra something. I still don't know what.
Alphonse?
So what now? You got a plan?
Take a look around, in case there's a rear exit. I'll take the main door.
My pleasure.
The fact that a criminal like him can hang up his shingle in broad daylight says a lot about Santa Esperanza. Someone took out sections of the fence. Odd. Interesting taste. Been centuries since a gardener visited this house. Maybe Boccarini's business isn't going too well. The bell doesn't work. I guess Boccarini doesn't get many visitors. Boccarini? Carlo Boccarini?
Nothing of interest out back. Sorry. You better come see this, Mr. Ness.
What is it?
I don't know how to describe it. Is that our man?
Boccarini.
My God.
We have to find out who did this, and why. Let's go.
You're the detective, Mr. Ness. Besides, Alphonse will want to see this. I'll be right back.
All right. I have to establish how Boccarini died. Maybe the body parts can shed some light on the motive. Holy Christ, what the hell are we up against? His eyes were pulled clean out of their sockets. Whoever did this, it wasn't their first time. And if they committed any other murders like this, it's likely that the police found some of the bodies. I must remember to ask Alice. His teeth were all pulled out before he was killed. The buildup of blood inside his mouth speaks for itself. Pity he won't last till Christmas, because he'd almost pass for a tree. There's no doubt the murderer took his time. This isn't a cut, it's a tear. His hands were ripped off. Who has that kind of strength? What's he got stuck in there? Looks like the bottom of a glass. It's Boccarini, no doubt about that. Although the one I remember was more together. Takes a strong man to tear that out. Or several. The blood comes from the other side of the corridor and ends next to the body. He was attacked in the other room and dragged to the hall. The evidence suggests that the events began in the lounge. How did Boccarini encounter his murderer? Whatever crushed the table must have been really heavy, or maybe it was thrown extremely hard. A perfectly circular dint, as if someone had tried to hammer in a gigantic bolt, around 4 inches in diameter. Fingernails scratched the wood. Blood ran like water. Did it break during the struggle, or was it already broken? Blood. Blood everywhere. What kind of person takes off a wristwatch without unfastening it? Or fastens the strap again after taking it off? This was opened recently. Smells of whiskey. There's something under there. How'd it wind up under there? Not one round fired. It must have happened fast. Glass on the floor indicates the window was broken from outside. One knife's missing, the biggest one. What is it with Italians and olives? They lap those things up like caviar. Like a true bachelor, he should have put these into soak. Hours of scraping to get them clean. Although at this stage I don't think Boccarini's too worried about that. 4 glasses. 2 of water, 2 of wine. I've always been a whiskey man, but I know a good wine when I see one. Leftover lasagna, and it looks good. Why is it that 2 out of 3 Italian gangsters are great cooks? I'll never understand what the deal is with them and cooking. The plates and the glasses leave no room for doubt. Boccarini had company for dinner. Shut from the inside. Boccarini's teeth were all pulled out. What looks like the bottom of a broken glass buried in Boccarini's back. Maybe the body parts can shed some light on the motive. The murderer tore Boccarini's hands off. Hands ripped off, teeth torn out. I guess I'll have to rule out criminal intent or a personal angle. Boccarini's eyes still haven't shown up. What if I look for whatever was used to remove them? Boccarini's eyes still haven't shown up. What if I look for whatever was used to remove them? I have to establish how Boccarini died. What looks like the bottom of a broken glass buried in Boccarini's back. The trail of blood from the dining room to the hall. 2 pools of blood, one on either side of the dining room table. An open bottle of whiskey. A pistol, fully loaded. Pieces of glass from the window in the hall, found inside the house. I'd say Boccarini was drinking in the dining room when his assailant burst in through the window. Boccarini pulled his gun, but the murderer disarmed him before he could shoot. Where did the torture begin? The bloodstains show that the murderer began to torture Boccarini on the dining table itself. A broken table, scratched and covered in blood. The bloodstains show that the 2 pools of blood, one on either side of the dining room table. A blood-stained wristwatch with a glass broken and the strap. The bloodstains show that the murderer began to torture Boccarini on the dining table itself. That was where his hands were torn off. As a result, his wristwatch fell to the ground. How did the body reach its current position? The trail of blood from the dining room to the hall. The lamp, torn off its brackets and blocking the stairs. Boccarini, already minus hands, was dragged into the hall, where the murderer used the brackets of the lamp to complete his macabre diorama. Jammed shut from the inside. Maybe between the 2 of us when Milton gets back. If I'm not mistaken, this door opens onto the same room as the locked door in the kitchen. Blood and some kind of sticky liquid. Oh, shit. I should have stayed in my diner. Are these teeth from the body? Well, at least I know why his teeth were pulled out, more or less. What is that? Looks like a ritual. What was Boccherini mixed up in? A teaspoon stained with blood and some kind of sticky... The mixture of sticky liquid and blood can only mean one thing. The spoon was used to remove Boccherini's eyes. The mutilations and the disappearance of his eyes suggest two possible motives. Psychopathy or cultist fanaticism. Which is it? Some kind of symbol drawn in blood. A sick altar of human flesh. Although I don't know the origin of the symbol in the bathroom and the altar of flesh and teeth, I'd say the motive was some kind of occult religion. The big question is, who did it? This car looks too classy for a forger like Boccherini. Are there sufficient reasons to believe that when the murderer attacked Boccherini, there was someone else in the house? The first possibility to be ruled out is that the car belonged to Boccherini. Vermont plates. Someone drove a long way. Let's take a look in the glove compartment. Bingo! A man's cigarette case. OB. One of the Boccherini clan? Dirty plates, glasses, and silverware from a dinner for two. A car with Vermont plates. The initials OB on a cigarette case. 1. It has Vermont plates. 2. It's too luxurious for a criminal of his standing. 3. The initials on the cigarette case don't match his name. The next possibility that needs to be ruled out is that the car was stolen. There should be evidence that there was someone else in the house. Dirty plates, glasses, and silverware from a dinner for two. The dirty dishes and glasses prove that Boccherini ate lasagna with one other person. Was Boccherini's guest still in the house when the murderer showed up? A broken whiskey glass found in the dining room. A door in the kitchen, locked from the inside. It opens onto the same room as the jammed door in the corner. A door in the corner. corridor jammed. It opens on what looks like the bottom of a broken glass. Seems clear that Boccherini and his guest were drinking when the murderer took them by surprise. The real question is, what happened to the witness? Did they escape? Did the murderer take them? Or are they still in the house? A door in the corridor jammed shut. A door in the kitchen locked from the... One locked door could be a coincidence, but two locked doors which open onto the same room can't be. Either I'm completely wrong, or the witness is in that room. But I need Milton to open one of those doors.
Mr. Ness, can you open the door for me?
It was open. Why did you ring?
I thought I should use the doorbell so I wouldn't startle you.
When I came in, I pressed the doorbell and it didn't work.
Well, in light of the facts, I deduced that it was your finger that wasn't working. So, what can you tell me to restore my faith in you as a detective?
What is that?
Not a good start. It's a camera, so Alphonse can see all this.
All right. Follow me. Boccherini had company for dinner. Someone from Vermont with the initials OB. Someone whose social status was a lot higher, but who was on the same side of the law. He served lasagna, and after clearing away the dishes, they opened a bottle of whiskey in the dining room. That was when the murderer burst in on them, coming through the window which he broke with his own body weight. Boccherini, or maybe his guest, pulled a gun, but it was a waste of time. The murderer was so fast he was disarmed before he could fire. He focused his attention on Boccherini, totally ignoring the guest, and lifted him up into the air. He then threw him against the dining room table so hard that one of the glasses of whiskey was embedded in Boccherini's back. He span around, clawing at the table, and immediately afterwards the murderer ripped off his hands. I have no idea how he did it, but all the evidence suggests he just pulled. Blood sprayed everywhere. The wristwatch fell to the ground. He dragged him through the corridor into the hall. He tore down the lamp, hung him from the brackets, and stabbed steel rods through his body. He skewered him on the iron bars, possibly taken from the fence outside, and pulled out his teeth one by one. Finally, he scooped out his eyes with a teaspoon. Boccherini must have been dead when the murderer went to the bathroom with his hands in his teeth. There, he arranged them to make an altar, weaving the fingers together and placing the teeth inside. Next, he painted something on the wall in blood, a symbol which I don't recognize, but which could have some kind of ritualistic significance. When he'd finished his artwork, he left. I don't know what he did with the eyes.
You're telling me that someone did all this armed with a teaspoon?
More or less.
And you worked all this out on your own, just by looking?
More or less.
I don't know which of the two of you scares me more. Wait a second. What about the guest?
Right. Come with me.